Welcome to Actionable Intelligence. I'm Eric Greitens. This is the show that respects your intelligence. We honor you as a citizen, and we bring you the stories that the mainstream media, well, just too often ignore. And tonight we're going to begin with big news, a lot of it ignored or downplayed by the mainstream media, and that is that former Trump advisor Carter Page has filed a $75 million lawsuit against multiple high-ranking Obama Department of Justice officials. That includes James Comey, Andrew McCabe, the FBI, the Department of Justice itself, and several others over what the suit notes are violations of Page's constitutional rights stemming from surveillance that was carried out on him. The lawsuit seeks accountability and damages against the individuals and the agencies who reportedly wronged Page via unlawful surveillance and investigation. And the suit alleges that Page was targeted for surveillance because of his lawful association with the 2016 presidential campaign of Donald Trump. And the suit argues that 4 false and misleading warrant applications permitted government officials to engage in electronic surveillance of Page. Now, the Justice Department has already conceded that it had insufficient evidence to justify at least 2 of the 4 warrants against Page. And the defendants in this case, the suit claims, fabricated or intentionally disregarded critical evidence and misled the court to obtain the FISA warrants. Well, joining us now to talk about the case is Tim Parlatore, an attorney for Carter Page. Many of you will recognize Tim, who served as the lawyer for Eddie Gallagher. Gallagher, you'll remember, was the Navy SEAL falsely accused of murder who was supported by President Trump. Tim, thanks so much for joining us, man. First question for all of our viewers. Just give us a little background. Remind everybody, who is Carter Page, what happened to him, and why is he now suing the FBI, James Comey, Andrew McCabe, and others?
Sure. Carter Page is a patriotic American. He's a man who served his country, was an Annapolis graduate, served as naval intelligence officer, and went on to a career where he did use his contacts in Russia to actually work for the government, work for the FBI and CIA to try and assist. And 4 years ago, he had a role with the Trump campaign, advising them on foreign affairs. And as a result of that, he got caught up into this FISA abuse ring where members of the DOJ unlawfully surveilled him by presenting evidence to the FISA court to get this permission that was completely insufficient. And they didn't do it just once. They did it 4 times so that they could surveil him for an entire year, even though they had no evidence that he had done anything wrong. Now, over the past 4 years, the information about that illegal operation has come out through the IG report from Inspector Horowitz, through various Senate and congressional committees. And so really this lawsuit represents kind of the culmination of all that, and Carter Page finally standing up and saying, okay, these people who have completely destroyed my life, I want to hold them accountable and I want to be made whole.
Yeah, and for our viewers, again, let's just break this down. For people who haven't followed this as closely, just remind everybody, what is FISA? What is the FISA court, and how was the court misled to allow this surveillance of a patriotic American citizen, Mr. Page?
Sure. FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And really what that is part of the law regarding intelligence operations is that they're not allowed to target U.S. persons. The CIA and DIA and all these agencies, they're not allowed to surveil, me and you. They're supposed to be focused on foreign intelligence. But occasionally they do run into circumstances where they need to surveil a U.S. person. And so they have a specific procedure to go to a court to present evidence to the court and to have a judge approve it. And it is specifically designed to prevent rogue government actors from going off and doing exactly what they did here, of abusing their incredible position of trust within the law enforcement and intelligence community to target U.S. citizens.
Tim, as you mentioned, a lot of this evidence has already come out, and You're a great lawyer. You are representing Mr. Page. You've done a great job valiantly defending Eddie Gallagher. So no offense here, but why are you doing this? It seems that people in power who it sounds like have already admitted to breaking the law, shouldn't they be held accountable by law enforcement? Why does Mr. Page need to go to a civil court to be holding people accountable for this?
You know, Eric, you've hit the nail right on the head. And, you know, I'm not the only attorney on this. There's four law firms that are working together for Carter Page. But I shouldn't have to do this. A private lawyer shouldn't have to go through the investigation and civil prosecution of this case. This is something that the DOJ and the government should have taken care of during these past 4 years. You know, there's not really a circumstance where they should allow somebody like me to sit down and interrogate Jim Comey or Andrew McCabe or Peter Strzok for 8 hours at a time to try and get to the truth. This is something that the government should have done. And since they haven't, Carter Page had no alternative. He has to go into the civil courts, and we have to do it for him.
Yeah. And again, just, you know, for all of our viewers, this is a guy who is a patriotic citizen, and it sounds like, to this point, the only reason that he was put under surveillance was because he was legally associated with President Trump's 2016 campaign. I mean, break this down for all of our viewers who believe that they have constitutional rights, that they shouldn't be surveilled by their government without evidence. And yet that seems to be what happened here.
Correct. And just to be clear, Carter Page has never spoken with Donald Trump. You know, he assisted in part of the campaign, but it's not like he is a close Trump insider or anything like that. And so one of the things that we're pushing in this lawsuit is accountability to make sure that this doesn't happen to anybody else. And, you know, we intentionally waited until after the 2020 election was concluded before filing this lawsuit because we didn't want anybody to think that this is some type of a political ploy. You know, just because Carter Page was associated with the Trump campaign does not, to us, make this a political fight. This is a legal fight. It's about the facts and the law. And no matter what side of the aisle or what campaign Carter Page was associated with, the fact is that these individuals broke the law and they need to be held accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I think a lot of our viewers recognize, Tim, is that folks like Andrew McCabe, James Comey, they've been called to testify in front of Congress. But as anybody who's watched one of those hearings knows, the mic gets passed from senator to senator or representative to representative, and they only have so much time. In a civil suit now, you're going to have the opportunity to sit down with a James Comey, with an Andrew McCabe, and you're going to be able to ask them questions for 7-8 hours in a videotaped deposition. Can you give us a sense for the line of questioning that you're going to be pursuing and what the American people can possibly expect about the information that's likely to come out as we dig further into this case?
Well, obviously, I can't give you the whole strategy now, but you're absolutely right that in a Senate committee hearing, they can run out the clock, whereas they can't really do that the same with me. And what our team intends to do is to get deep into the entire process with these individuals. If you look at these hearings, Andrew McCabe just 2 weeks ago was defending the fact that they opened the investigation. Says we were right to open the investigation. We don't accept that, but even under the premise that maybe they were right to open the investigation, why did you renew the warrant 3 times? You get the warrant, you surveil them for 3 months, you find absolutely nothing. And at that point, you go back to a judge and you say, hey, we still believe that there's probable cause that Carter Page is acting as a foreign intelligence asset, even though we found absolutely zero over the past 3 months. And we think that by going back and looking at the exact same phone again for another 3 months, that we're somehow going to find something. Absolutely not. It makes no sense. And any junior agent who's just started their career and is doing low-level drug investigations knows If you surveil a phone and you don't get anything off of it, you move on to another investigative technique.
Right.
If you surveil a phone and then leak it to the media that you're spying on this individual, guess what? Even if they were doing something, they're not going to go talking on that phone anymore. So what you have here is a situation where very senior people within the FBI are doing things that make absolutely no sense, and they never really, you can run out the clock by focusing on, we were right to start the investigation. Okay, why'd you continue it? Why did it go on for a whole year when right in the beginning you knew that there wasn't anything there?
And it sounds like they didn't get any additional evidence, in those first few months. Tim, just in the 30 seconds or so that we have left, what can our viewers expect in terms of a timeline? I think so many people have been wanting justice to come for what happened, related to these efforts to overturn the 2016 election, the surveillance of the Trump campaign. What can people expect here in terms of timeline in the next couple of weeks and months?
Well, federal civil litigation is not a speedy process. It's a very deliberate process, and so this case can go on for the next couple of years. But I do expect that we'll be relatively soon, in the next few months, getting into initial motions and then getting into the discovery. Awesome. And that's where they're going to have to turn over all these documents. Documents that, by the way,
turn over the documents and also sit down with you, Tim. Well, we'll certainly look forward to having you that should be declassified, and we'll look forward to having you back on, folks. That's Tim Parlatore, attorney for Carter Page.